What is up, guys? Welcome back to OverTakes. This is Misfit, and today we are going to be diving into the Summer Showdown finals. We have our four teams: the Chengdu Hunters, the Shanghai Dragons, the Atlanta Reign, and the Dallas Fuel. We're ready to go. We got the matches set up. The first matches are going to be Dallas versus Chengdu, and the second match is going to be Atlanta versus Shanghai. But before we dive into the Summer Showdown, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. Everybody who's been supporting me over the last however long, since the beginning, since last week. Thank you very much for all of your support. It's greatly appreciated. And if you guys are new, just stopping by, thank you very much for stopping by. I do Overwatch League content 2 to 3 times a week, depending on what's going on, of course. If you could hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the alert bell, that'll let you know when I have my content coming up. Now we got that out of the way. Let's dive into this, guys. All right, Summer Showdown time. We got our two teams in Hawaii, our two teams from the East hanging out there, getting ready for this, and let's talk about it. It's going to be interesting, I think, with the clash of metas and styles. We have the two teams from the East favor ball compositions, Tracer Sombra, and then you throw in a little spice here and there with Chengdu doing some Pharah stuff and doing some other things. You know, there's a lot of things going on, and of course, in the West, we have teams running the Reign comps with Sim, and we have the Orisa comps. We got Dives versus the Rush and kind of the double shield stuff. We're going to see how this plays out, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm excited about this one, guys. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I'm excited about all the tournament things, because watching the best teams play, or the teams that got to these tournaments, it adds the excitement. But this is just like a whole different thing going on, where you have literally the clash of different styles coming at each other, and it's going to be fun. Yeah, we get that in other metas and other tournaments we've had this stuff happen, but this is just the most defined one that we've had, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm ready for this. So I'm ready. Let's dive into it. All right, let's talk about the first match on the docket. We have the Chengdu Hunters taking on the Dallas Fuel. I think right off the bat here, I'm going to go with this is going to be a decent match. I don't think it's going to be a wash job for Dallas, just for the simple fact that I think they're very adaptable. They're very fluid in what they do. They can adjust on the fly. I think the first couple of maps and seeing what Chengdu does live compared to what you would see on a VOD or something like that, in the little bit of time that you have to prepare for them, I think that Chengdu can sneak some stuff in. And I'm not saying that this is the only way Chengdu can win. I think Chengdu has an outside shot to do some damage here. And it's mostly because they run different stuff. Dallas hasn't seen this kind of stuff. Yeah, you've seen other teams do it at them, come at them with it, and they kind of adjust. They make the proper adjustments, and they take care of business. The one thing you do have in this is you're seeing a team that does it all the time. These teams run these comps constantly. It's not a map dependent thing like in NA. As well, it's sort of map dependent, but you know where I'm going. They're running dive things on X map and Y map and things like that, or maybe to throw a curveball at somebody if they're a lesser seeded team, a lesser skilled team, just trying to come at them with something different to throw them off guard. Chengdu does this all the time, and the same goes for Shanghai. The converse in this is, if it doesn't work off the bat for Chengdu, where Dallas just kind of knows what's coming, and those players that they have on the team that are exceptional just have none of it, it's going to be a long day for Chengdu, and it might go quick. But I don't think that's going to happen, and I'm not saying Dallas is going to play bad. I think it's going to be a minute. Chengdu's going to come out and punch him a couple times and kind of stagger him a little bit, but I think Dallas has the firepower and the adjustability and the game sense, their players do this is, to switch on the fly and do what works to stop these comps. They know how to do it. Yeah, they don't have a hit scan, but you don't necessarily need a hit scan to beat some of this stuff. You don't have to have a hit scan to beat a Pharah. You don't. There's ways around that. If you rush them and you knock the shit out of them before they have a chance to get any value out of that Pharah, if you're knocking Ameng or Gaga around, you're taking their supports out, their lone support at that point, who's generally playing like a Zen or Ana. If you're taking those guys out first, like if they decided to go Doom, or they go maybe Pharah, or not Pharah, but they go Sombra or something like that, and they get hacks and they're they're hacking the ball and they're harassing the back line with a Sombra Tracer or something like that, or like I said, maybe running a Doom Tracer and just causing chaos, the Pharah gives you no value whatsoever. These are things that Dallas can do on a very high level anyway. So I do think, though, they haven't seen anything like Chengdu doing things like this. The way they run these comps, they run them every game. They've looked decent. Yeah, I don't know how they got here, mostly because teams underperform, like I said, but that still doesn't mean that they do not play at a high level, especially when it gets into the ball stuff. And if they get on these control maps and some of these maps where they can run Pharah, which they're going to have map picks, and that is a big thing in these. Because if you're running, that's why we're getting closer games, too, in some of these instances in the knockouts and things like that. Minus the Boston match with the Gladiators. You're playing maps that you're comfortable on. You can run the things that you do well. They're going to run maps that they can run ball, and they can maybe do the Pharah stuff and throw them off. In their mind, they think that they're better than them on those things. So they're going to pick maps. To start off, Dallas gets to pick. So I believe the top seed picks their control map. I would assume you'd see something like Busan or something along those lines where you're not going to get the Pharah-ish kind of stuff. They're not. I don't think they'd pick Nepal unless they're like, yeah, we'll play Nepal or we'll play. So they might play something like Lijiang. The only thing they have to worry about is Gardens, maybe with Jinmu. But there are things that they can do though in the next rounds when the back and forth with the maps to keep themselves in the game. That's why we get closer games. I think it's just there's logic. I guess you could go with that, but. Hey, we're going to win on maps that we're better on. Imagine that. As we saw last week. I'm kind of on the Panda train. I'm rooting for them in this. I want to see the second APAC team do something for a goddamn change in these. Because they got buried, and so did NYXL just kind of played 6 maps and went home. And the only maps that were taken in any of these were Chengdu took 2 maps in the May Melee. Well, I think they took 1 each. From would they play? They played Dallas and Florida. I think they took 2 maps total, and those are the only 2 maps that have been taken in the finals by anyone other than Shanghai. But I think they have a potential of making this a good match, and I'm going to go as much as I really am on the Chengdu train. I think if they get Gaga and Late Young rolling on just making space and Gaga or Ameng on the ball, causing a lot of chaos and keeping Dallas churning and kind of not knowing what's going on, it gives things like their Pharah comps value because they can. Jinmu doesn't take pot shots on Pharah. He hits direct hit rockets. If you give him sight lines, he's gonna fucking rip. And most guys they do are going to build up for barrage. Not Jinmu. Jinmu hits all the shots and he doesn't miss. He's got perfect timing. The one thing with Jinmu, I will say now, if they get him onto the Pharah, he's not as great on the Sombra. So if they run Tracer Sombra, that's where Dallas has a bigger advantage over them, in my opinion. But they still can cause chaos and things like that with the ball, and it gives Fearless nightmares, I think. Because if you notice in the past, he's had trouble with that. Last tournament, when Shanghai flipped the switch there, and they went to the ball comp, it was giving him fits, and it was like driving him nuts. It's like Super with Sombra. I think it tilts him. So he's going to have a whole weekend at tilt, unless they play Atlanta. And who knows, Atlanta could pull it out. They're like, hey, if this shit works, hey, let's go for it. I don't think they will, but that's just a weird speculation. But how I see this going, you can expect Chengdu to throw them a little bit. I don't think Dallas is going to 3-0 them, like I said earlier. I think we're going to get a 3-2 here. And I think Dallas is going to win the last 2 maps. Just because by that point, in my estimation, they're going to have enough knowledge involved and will make the right picks map-wise to start their final 2 map run there. To neutralize some of the stuff Chengdu does map-wise, and then they'll also make picks as far as comps go to neutralize some of the stuff they're doing. Maybe they run Sombra, maybe they run some May. They're going to run some things to kind of throw the ball stuff off. Seoul did it a little bit. Not quite on as well played. It was played decently enough, but after going back and watching it, that Chengdu Seoul match, it was played a little bit better than I thought. I did watch it at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Or Sunday, whatever day it was on. It was fucking early for a weekend day. I think they could manage to do some things to slow them down and take care of business here. They don't need a hit scan. They haven't needed a hit scan all year, and I think they can beat Chengdu. So that's the first match. We have Dallas beating Chengdu 3-2. At the end of this, I will put up my full bracket, and you guys can either make fun of me or go, wow, the dude knows what he's talking about sometimes. But yeah, we got Dallas winning 3-2. All right, next match. Once again, Clash of Styles. We have Shanghai versus Atlanta. I think this is going to be a good match as well. This is why. Well, once again, we have map picks. I think Atlanta runs the Reign, Rush, and the double shield comps. They run them almost flawlessly sometimes, a lot of the time. Gator and Hawk are playing at the highest level I've seen them play. They're fantastic right now. Their DPS line is filthy and smart at the same time. Same thing with the supports. They're playing really, really well. Atlanta is playing, to me, right now, we're looking for that number 2 team in NA. They're playing like it to me. This is their second tournament in a row. They've been here. They've done that. And they have the guys and the players to accomplish this, and they've leveled up as the year goes on. And they're in a situation where they're playing their game. Every team is playing their game, which I freaking love. We finally are getting this. Meta is kind of a in quotes thing now, and I'm all for it. No goats, no double shield all over the place all the time. We got it like we had that the bullshit with the hero pools, which I wasn't a fan of, but whatever. It is what it is, and we're going to get it in the next one. And that's going to be interesting to see where things go, but we'll talk about that next week. Atlanta, I'm hyped up, guys, by the way. If you can't tell, you haven't had to have any coffee or anything like that. I'm just ready to go. But Atlanta, to me, can run these comps really, really well. And I think they're going to, much like I said with Chengdu, I think they're going to throw Shanghai for a little bit of a loop here because they play it fairly aggressively, as aggressive as Shanghai does with these comps. Now, the one thing that Shanghai has that Chengdu doesn't have is they have Fleta and Lip. Yeah, Leave and Jinmu. I said a lot about Jinmu in that, but I don't know why. I just was throwing in to go back to that really quick. We're going to circle back a little bit. The reason why I didn't talk about Leave is he's going to do his job and fucking stomp what he does. It's the other DPS, which is generally Jinmu, where you're looking for the X factor, the extra oomph that they've needed to win games. I think Leave playing Tracer is better than any Tracer right now in this. Exception maybe Fleta. That's where they have an advantage. Sparkle's up there, and I just like them. All right, now back to Atlanta and Shanghai. Returning to the regularly scheduled program, outside of Hyped Crazy Man and his ramblings, we're going to circle back around to where we were with Shanghai and Atlanta. Okay, so Shanghai, I think this is going to be their biggest challenge on, because now they haven't played anyone that can play Double Shield or Rhine comps as well as Atlanta. You could say maybe Seoul would be able to give them a battle, but they don't play it as much as Atlanta. They dive into it more than other teams in APAC, but Atlanta is solid on this, and they have cohesion and coordination on playing these things because they play them a lot more than the teams that they have seen. Have they seen anything like Shanghai, though? That's the thing. That's why right now, I mean, if you look at if you call it the tail of the tape, who do you take? Gator Hawk, Fate Void. Hard to say. I would go Fate Void marginally right now. Izayaki and Lee Jae-gon versus Masa and Iris. I take, with the comps that Shanghai's going to play, potentially running Zen and Izayaki, I'll take that over anything. Either Iris or Iris and Masa, and Lee Jae-gon's he's a cold-blooded killer, so you got him too. And hey, Iris and Masa are not bad at all. Fleta Lip, Edison Pelican, you're probably going Fleta Lip, but those are the thing is on the whole, if you're looking at the grand scheme of better players, but those are on their comps, they're fine. We're going to see what happens if they get knocked out of their comfort zone in this match, I think. But I don't think Atlanta is going to. I think Shanghai might try and adapt. Atlanta's not going to. If they do anything, they might try a monkey double bubble-ish thing, possibly. But I'm looking at Shanghai to come in here and say, look, we're going to take control of this match, and we're going to stomp the shit out of these guys. And I think Atlanta is going to want to avoid some maps, if they get picks. But I think Shanghai right now is too good. I think Atlanta's going to give them a battle. It's going to be a 3-1, but it's going to be a burner of a 3-1. I don't think it's going to be one of these 3-1. Somehow they got control and Shanghai just went and just crapped on them for 3 maps. I don't think it's going to be one of those games at all. I think Atlanta's going to give them a tooth and nail battle all the way through. It could go 3-2, and there's potential, not in my mind, not too terribly great, but I would, in a universe, I could see them countering that dive style with what they do and possibly winning this match. It is in the realm of possibility with all 4 of these teams, really. I think this is the best 4 we've had. I think Chengdu's leveled up, and I think Atlanta is the second best team in NA, probably right now playing at the third best team in the league, next to Shanghai and Dallas. This is a big test for Atlanta. This is the look. We're here this time, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna beat one of these 2 teams, or both of these teams, or however it works. Like I said, I'm going Shanghai 3-1. I just like everything that Shanghai's doing, and they're just really, really strong right now. And until someone beats them, like since the middle of the May Melee, to me, or the middle of the June Joust qualifiers till now, I think they've just been the best team in the league. Dallas is really, really close. Like, it's not even like a 1-2, it's a 1-1A, 1-1 scenario. They both have their advantages and all that. But anyway, I like the Shanghai Dragons in this one. All right, now let's bust out Misfit's crystal ball here. I'll get the lighting and the everything, set up in my little tent here. We're gonna talk about this bracket. So, as I said, I went with the favorites. I went with Dallas and Shanghai in 2 tough, close, hard-fought matches. Winners round 2. All right. So here's what I got. I'm gonna go Shanghai 3-1 over Dallas. We know these 2 teams. We know what they can do. I think Shanghai is living rent-free in Dallas's brain right now. I also think that, like I said before in the Chengdu match, the ball gives fearless fits, and I think on every level, these teams are pretty equal, but right now, I think that dive comp, the way Shanghai's running it and the way they're playing with their cohesion, their ult cycling, all of the things that you tick off when you're watching a team play, I'm going with Shanghai 3-1. Down to the losers bracket. So I got Shanghai in the final. Losers bracket, Chengdu, Atlanta. I think this is another clash that, like we've been saying, clash of styles. I do really want Chengdu to win a match, but I'm gonna crap on my own parade here. Kind of, sort of, maybe, if you want to call it that. I'm gonna go with Atlanta 3-2. I just also think that Atlanta's just too strong across the board. Atlanta and Dallas, like I said, they're top 2 teams in NA. I think this is going to be a hard-fought game, but I'm throwing this in here. I love Atlanta right now, but I would not be shocked in one way if Chengdu pulls one off against them and they do some wacky stuff and catch Atlanta off guard and get them out of a comfort zone, and they maybe panic a little bit because their life's on the line and all the kind of cliched sports things, and they might fumble a little bit. But I do like Atlanta 3-2 in this. I do think Atlanta's going to come through and win on the strength of Gator and Hawk. I just think they're better than Late Young and Gaga and or Ameng right now on whatever they play. It's very, very clear to me on the tank line. I like those 2 better right now. And that, to me, is my deciding factor. And support-wise, potentially, you can say, and actually not even potentially, I would go with Iris and Masa over Monk 1987 and Yevito. I would just take them right now over those guys. So that's really my deciding factor in that part. So that moves on to the next round, where we have Atlanta taking on Dallas once again. Now in this one, I'm going out on a limb. I did it last week and it worked out, so fuck it. We're gonna do it this week too. All right, we're gonna just throw caution to the wind in this one. I'm taking Atlanta 3-2. Dallas fans, don't get mad at me. Here's the reason why. They're due to beat Dallas. Okay, I just feel like they've seen them enough and gotten pounded by them a couple of times, and I think they're ready. I think this is the time for Atlanta to shine. Dallas is not gonna. I don't think Dallas is gonna play bad by any stretch. I think it's gonna be very close, very well fought, and I think it's gonna be very it could come out very similar to that Justice Dallas match that we saw last week, where we had just big plays by Fearless and Gator and guys like Hanbin and Hawk just playing really well. I think those guys are going to do a lot of things here. Watching these two teams who are playing at their peak right now, in my opinion, is going to be fantastic. I just think Atlanta's going to get them this time. It's just a hunch. It's nothing against any team or anything like that. I just think Atlanta is going to get them. It's just a feeling, a hunch, like I said. There is in no realm where I don't think Dallas could win this just as easily as Atlanta can. I don't think Atlanta's going to have an easy time at all. I think this is just going to be a burner all the way through. Like I said, it could be one of those matches like we had last week where we get into map picks and, one team wins their map, the other team wins the other. It's going to be a progression like that. I feel like it's going to be a very similar match to that. It is tougher, too, coming in if you're on that second game. They usually give you, not very much time, 20 minutes at the most, to finish it off. So there is a little risk going into picking a team like Atlanta over Dallas in this, where Dallas has a little bit of time to marinate and figure out what to do after losing, and then the losers finals and all that kind of stuff start going on. But that brings us to the grand finals of the Summer Showdown. I am going with Shanghai and Atlanta. This one I think is going to be a different story. I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw in the first match. I'm taking Shanghai 4-2. I do think in a match that goes to 7, that potentially could go to 7, I think Atlanta is going to be able to pick up a couple of maps on Shanghai. I just find that they're going to get a map pick in there where Shanghai's not comfortable and they're very comfortable on, and they potentially could roll them on a map and pick up a second one in there. I just think Shanghai's too strong right now, and they have been for the whole stage. They have been since they beat Dallas in the June Joust. My champion for the Summer Showdown is going to be the Shanghai Dragons. I took them last time. I'm staying on the Dragons train, and I just think it's going to be a fantastic clash of styles, clash of varying metas, whatever you want to call it. I think this tournament is going to be very, very compelling. I don't think we're going to get 3-0s. I really don't. I don't think Chengdu's going to get 3-0'd. We're not going to have a scenario like we had last time. So that's what I got, guys. That is going to do it for my Summer Showdown preview. Next week, we're going to do rankings. Obviously, we're going to be talking hero pool and stuff like that in the in-between. Maybe we talk some other stuff. We'll hit a standings thing and possible scenarios for teams going in and out of the playoffs, especially in APAC, where it's a lot tighter and a lot less teams, a lot closer as far as what can happen, as far as who can get in and out. I think NA is close to set in the 9, unless somebody totally goes crazy and falls off the planet and loses 4. They go a Mayhem route, which I don't think anyone's going to do besides the Mayhem here. Yeah, we'll talk about that stuff too. All right, guys. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you very, very much for all of your support. It's been greatly appreciated, guys. I truly mean that. And if you're new, if you've been sticking around for this episode, thank you very much for checking me out. Please hit a like, hit a subscribe, all the YouTube jargon jazz. That would be great. This is Misfit. I'm out. Everybody stay safe. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the Summer Showdown finals. And I'll talk to you on the next one.